Hello, good afternoon. Oh, I can't hear you. I'm in the English channel. Wonderful. All right, let's go ahead and get started. And I can't see I can't see the other attendees, right? I see 28 participants, but I wouldn't be able to see them in the Zoom, right? I see. I see. Oh no, that's okay. I was just wondering how many people are in attendance. No worries. All right, great. I'll go ahead and share my screen. All right. So good afternoon, everybody. Yep. Yeah. Oh, mhm. Great. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this presentation about the UCLA Peers Program. I'm Dr. Alina Vaitsman, and I'm the Director of Training at the UCLA Peers Clinic, and I'm also a licensed psychologist. And at the Peers Clinic, I conduct many different groups for adolescents, young adults, preschoolers, and parents. And I also conduct our training seminars. We actually had our first ever training in Turkey I believe last month, and we'll be having another training seminar in the fall on the adolescent program. Our first one was on the preschool program, and as you can imagine, the adolescent program is much different, so we'll have another 3-day certified training seminar on that. So I'll talk more about that a little bit later on in the presentation. But if you're not familiar with the Peers program, it's an evidence-based social skills program for youth with social challenges. So initially it was developed for people on the autism spectrum, and now it's used worldwide for youth with all types of social difficulties, not only autistic people, but it was developed for neurodivergent individuals. So we'll go ahead and get into the presentation here. So just to talk about the overview and what I'll be sharing today, I will start by talking a little bit about some social differences among neurodivergent youth. We'll talk a little bit about the importance of improving friendships in this population, and also the role of neurodiversity and choice when thinking about social skills programs. I'll give a brief overview of the peers curriculum and discuss some effective methods of social skills instruction. I'll also summarize our research findings. This won't be a research heavy presentation, but I would be remiss in not sharing some of our research outcomes with you since it is an evidence-based program. And I'll also give you some examples of the peers skills for adolescents, as well as talk about our clinical and research offerings within the clinic. So many of you on this call might be familiar with the social challenges among neurodivergent individuals. So this may not be news to you, but it's important to discuss because it's really the foundation of why we're doing what we're doing. And it provides some background that explains the necessity of social skills programming for this population. So we know that many neurodivergent individuals struggle with social communication. That's kind of a hallmark feature of autism. But what does that look like in teens? Oftentimes they struggle with topic initiation. They don't know what to talk about, right? And if you think about it, the social demands change from elementary school to middle school and beyond. When you're in elementary school, it's all about playing with your friends. Middle school and later on, socializing becomes about talking. It's about having conversations. And think about it, what do our teens on the spectrum often talk about? Well, it's often repetitive themes, or often their restricted interests. And oftentimes it's with very little regard for whether the other person cares or is interested about that, right? So it creates this one-sided conversation. And the problem with that is that they're failing to find common interests when
Excuse
we're talking.
me, Elina, excuse me, I'm Aslı. We have some technical issues. The translation could not follow. The voice is not enough. Could you please can you begin a few slides before again?
Okay, do you want
Sorry
me to?
for this.
That's okay. That's no problem. Do you want me
Sorry.
to start with this slide with
Yes,
the
a few
overview?
slides before, if you can
The
repeat,
beginning?
we will be happy. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Can
Çevirmenimizin internet bağlantısında bir problem var sanırım. Onu bir şey yapabilirsek sevinirim. Thank you so much.
Sure. Okay. So
Evet,
starting,
kesinlikle geliyor.
yeah. Okay, so I'm starting again here.
Şu an daha
So,
iyi.
is, okay, let me know. Yes.
Evet, duyuyoruz. Şimdi başlayabiliriz eğer bu şekilde devam edebileceksek. Kusura bakmayın.
Okay, great. So again, welcome everyone to this presentation on the UCLA Peers Program. If you're not familiar with the UCLA Peers Program, it's a evidence-based social skills program for autistic individuals and other youth with social difficulties. So it was initially developed just for autistic people, but now it's used worldwide with youth with a range of social difficulties. And we have programs on for preschoolers, for teens, and for young adults. And I lead many of those different groups in our clinic as the director of training. All right, so getting into our presentation for this morning, we're going to start off talking about some of the social differences among neurodivergent youth and really the importance of improving friendships in this population. We'll also talk about the role of neurodiversity and choice when thinking about social skills programming. I'll give a brief overview of the peers curriculum. We'll talk about some effective methods of social skills instruction. I'll also summarize some of our research findings, just briefly, since it is an evidence-based program. And I'll give some examples of the types of skills that we teach and leave you with some of our clinical and research offerings at the clinic. Okay, so many of you may be familiar with the social challenges among neurodivergent individuals. So some of this may not be news to you, but it's also important to talk about because it's really the foundation of why we're doing what we're doing. And it provides some background that explains the necessity of social skills training. So we know that autistic individuals struggle with social communication. That's really a hallmark feature of autism, but what does that look like in our teens? Well, they often struggle with topic initiation. They don't know what to talk about, right? And if you think about it, the social demands change from elementary school and beyond. In elementary school, it's all about playing with your friends. And in middle school and high school and beyond, socializing becomes about talking. It becomes about having conversations. And what do you think our teens on the spectrum often talk about? Well, very often it's repetitive themes or their restricted interests. And often it's with very little regard for the other person's interest. And it creates this one sided conversation. And the problem with that is that they're failing to find common interests. And think about that. If your goal is to make friends, what could be the problem with not finding common interests when you're talking? Well, that's what friendships are based on. So you're not really getting to know them. You're not really bonding or connecting, right? What would you do if you spent time with them? What would you talk about? So it's really important to teach our teens how to have two-way reciprocal conversations from the beginning. We also know a lot of our teens struggle with social awareness. So a lot of autistic individuals struggle with interpreting social cues like voice tone and sarcasm. And that's not necessarily something we're going to teach, but what we can do is help them understand concrete behaviors. So, for example, how do you know if someone's interested in talking to you when you're having a conversation? A lot of people say it's a feeling that you get. Well, that feeling is usually associated with concrete behaviors that you're picking up on. And if you think about what are those behaviors, well, they're looking at you, they're talking to you, right? And not giving really short responses. And they're probably facing you with their body. Those are things that anyone can learn, right? To pick up on, are they looking at me, facing me, talking to me? So essentially, we're helping to decode the social world for them in a concrete way. Also, many of our teens struggle not just with interpreting social cues, but really understanding the social landscape. So, for example, in most middle schools and high schools, or even college campuses across the world, there are different groups of people that tend to congregate together around shared interests. And those groups have names, right? It's things like the athletes and the dancers and the artists and the musicians, right? And the geeks and the nerds. What's fascinating is our participants know that these groups exist. We often learn about these groups from our participants, actually. What they don't always understand is the function of those groups. In other words, these groups help us find sources of friends. If I'm really into video games and I know that friendships are based on common interests, who should I be looking for to hang out with? It's probably the gamers, right? And how can I find them? Well, they're probably playing video games at during their breaks. Maybe they go to gaming conventions or they spend time at the gaming store or the arcade, right? So they have these bits of information. We're helping them often connect the dots and decode the social world and helping them find their people, really, the people that they're going to connect with. A lot of times, also, our teens don't tend to be very socially engaged. They're not involved in many social activities, or maybe they're in an activity, but it's not really a great place for them to make friends. Like it's, a solo activity like piano or karate, and they're not really bonding with other peers there. So also, sometimes they might say they don't want friends or they don't need friends or they're fine, they already have friends. And on the surface, it may look like that is true. It might look like they don't want friends, but actually, what I've found is that that's not always what it is. Oftentimes, they actually just don't know how to engage with their peers or how to appropriately join conversations with their peers. And also, a lot of them have tried and they've experienced rejection in the past, and some have just given up altogether and they've become more socially withdrawn. So, we're going to be targeting that through finding social activities and engaging with peers at these activities. Another hallmark feature of autism is difficulties with social cognition, which really is perspective taking, right? Putting yourself in someone else's shoes, being able to understand what someone else is thinking or feeling or experiencing. And obviously, that's very important in relationships for things like conflict resolution and dating, right? The good news is that perspective taking is like a muscle. It's something you can work on and build. And so we incorporate a lot of perspective taking questions throughout the entire program to boost that, right? We'll show a video and say, what do you think that was like for the other person? What did they think of me? Are they going to want to talk to me again? And we ask those questions throughout the program to really help them put themselves in their peers' shoes. Bottom line, though, is that our teens often struggle with reciprocal friendships. And even if they do have friends, they tend not to have really great quality friendships. So they might not have those deeper, more meaningful friendships. So, because of these social difficulties, many of our teens and young adults struggle with peer rejection. And that unfortunately has serious consequences. And this is true not just for autistic individuals, this is true for all youth. So, peer rejection predicts things like depression, anxiety, loneliness, low self esteem, substance abuse, poor academic performance, early withdrawal from school, and even suicidal ideation and attempts. And really, when you think about autistic individuals, they have high rates of anxiety and depression and loneliness, right? And it's suggested that these high rates of anxiety and depression may relate to a lack of social support, a lack of close friendships and romantic relationships. And also think about independence, right? If you have close friends, you're more likely to learn how to be independent. Oftentimes, teens become more independent from their parents when they're spending time with friends. So if you don't have friends, it's definitely going to impact your independence and self-esteem. And I think the sad fact is that we don't do enough for these youth. We often, as psychologists, we see them later on when they're coming in with more severe mental health issues. They're already depressed right? And we could be giving them these protective factors to avoid these negative consequences. And that's one of the great things about social skills programming. It's really preventative in nature. So when it comes to social skills training, we typically work with two categories of people presenting for a program. This is true whether or not you're working with people on the spectrum. The first group is peer rejected. These are people who might be doing things that others don't like. So they're actively trying to seek out their peers and they're actively being pushed away. They might be barging into conversations or using humor inappropriately. They might be getting teased and bullied. They often have negative reputations with their peers. And if you think about the co-occurring diagnoses there, they might have ADHD, right, or impulse control issues, or externalizing conditions. And then the other group looks very different. These are the socially neglected individuals. They're often seen as shy or timid, often very withdrawn. They might go unnoticed, right? Because they're not even trying to engage. And think about the co occurring diagnoses there. It's often internalizing conditions like anxiety or depression. The good news is, when you're teaching social skills, it doesn't really matter if they're socially neglected or peer rejected. We're teaching the exact same skills. And these are what we call ecologically valid skills, meaning they stem from research of what socially savvy people naturally do. We don't make these things up. We do research on what do people do to handle teasing? What do people do to join a conversation? And we break that down into concrete rules and steps and strategies. So it's the same skills for everyone. But how they move through the process might look a little bit different. Everyone's going to move at a different pace, right? And I'll give you some examples of ecologically valid skills later on in this presentation. But oftentimes people get bad advice about what to do in social situations. And that's because just because someone may have good social skills does not mean they know how to teach good social skills, right? You don't often break down what you do in social situations. So sometimes adults may be giving wrong advice that's not really helping teens. So I'll give you an example later on. So just to talk a little bit more about the importance of friendships. The research shows that just having one or two close friends predicts later adjustment in life. Think about it. Who do you call when you're having a bad day? It's often your friends, right? So having good friends can buffer the impact of stressful life events. And having close friends also makes people feel better about themselves, have higher self-esteem, makes them more independent, and it's negatively associated with depression and anxiety. So, just to give a little bit of background about peers, this is an international program that was developed over 20 years ago at UCLA, 2004. Our programs have been translated into over a dozen languages. It's used in over 150 countries and expanding. And our programs are evidence-based for preschoolers, adolescents. We also have a school-based program and for young adults. And we're currently researching our Peers for Careers and Peers for Dating programs. Some unique aspects of the program. It's considered to be one of the only evidence-based social skills programs. So that means there's a lot of research. We've done a lot of randomized controlled trials, kind of the gold standard of research to demonstrate the effectiveness of the program. And it's not only, the research is not only from UCLA, it's from our research colleagues and partners all over the world. The program is also parent or caregiver assisted. So that means that we include parents and other caregivers as social coaches. It's not only groups for the youth, their parents are in a different room at the same time, learning how to best support them. Because we only see them for a short period of time. We want someone who's close to them to learn how to be a social coach in the real world. The program's only appropriate for socially motivated participants. We never force anyone to be in this group. and it only teaches ecologically valid skills. Like I said before, we teach just the rules and steps that are followed by socially successful people. So if you think about it that way, it can really be helpful for anyone who's willing to learn about social skills and interested in working on these skills, because it's we're just teaching socially helpful behaviors. And it's cross-culturally adapted and validated across the globe. So obviously, social skills are different across cultures, right? And so there's a heavy cultural component to what is considered ecologically valid. So we have partners who do this research and adapt it depending on the needs of the population. Okay, when we think about social skills, we also have to consider the role of neurodiversity, which just means a different way of thinking, right? Different way of interacting with the world. Personally, I think it's an awesome way of thinking, and that's why I really love working with this population. And we need to respect the role of neurodiversity when learning new social strategies. Not everything we teach is going to work for everyone, and that's okay. And differences do not make us less or more than, right? We see a lot of strengths actually in neurodiversity, and peers is really considered a strength-based approach. We try to use our participants' strengths to help them accomplish their individual social goals. It's also important to think about choice in this program. So each session presents a set of socially helpful and socially risky strategies. And it's really important to note that this program is only appropriate for socially motivated teens and young adults. So learning these skills and participating in peers is completely voluntary. Everyone who's in our program wants to be there. And the other thing about this is that it's not about changing a person, not at all. It's about enhancing their social interactions with others so that others can appreciate them for who they already are. So, really, the goal is for our youth to incorporate these skills into their authentic selves. We never want to perpetuate masking, right? Or being someone different from who they are. We're just basically giving information for them to decode the social world and hopefully make things easier for them. But we really don't think it's ethical to force social skills on someone who doesn't want to learn them. And the truth is, if they don't want to be there, it's going to be a waste of their time and energy. So we really want to support our youth's goals and decisions. And throughout the program, we have a lot of discussion of all of these skills being a choice. They don't have to do any of these things. We're just giving them the information, and it's up to them what they want to do with it. So, just to go a step further, we've incorporated a neuro-affirming pledge into every session of our program, where we let our families know that we value neurodiversity, acceptance, and authenticity, and we honor the diverse ways people experience the world. We respect that each person has unique perspectives and communication styles, and we recognize that there's no one right way to connect with others. So if using these strategies ever feels like camouflaging or masking, or it doesn't align with a person's goals, they don't have to use them. It's a personal choice. Okay, so these are some of the skills that we teach in the Peers program. We start off learning about how to find and choose good friends. Oops. For adults, we also talk about how to find and choose romantic partners. We talk a lot about conversational skills and how to have, how to maintain good conversations. Also, how to start and join conversations with others, how to exit those conversations, how to use electronic communication appropriately. So, all the rules around texting and video chatting and social media, appropriate use of humor, get togethers. So, how to organize and plan get togethers when host get togethers with friends, how to be a good sport when playing games or sports with friends. For adults, we have lessons on dating etiquette. We teach them how to show interest in someone that they like, how to ask someone out on a date, how to organize and plan a date, and we talk about some general dating do's and don'ts. We also have a lot of skills for managing conflict and rejection. So in dating, you can imagine there's often conflict and rejection that you have to deal with. So we teach them how to handle that and also how to turn someone down if they're not interested, and how to handle unwanted sexual pressure, dating pressure. And we have also lessons on how to handle arguments, how to manage reputations, how to disclose differences or diagnoses to others, and also how to handle bullying, including teasing, physical bullying, cyberbullying, and also rumors and gossip. Okay. And in terms of how we teach these skills, that's equally important. It's not just what you teach, but how you teach it. This is the formula that we use for teaching social skills. We have a small group, 8 to 12 members. We have weekly lessons where they learn concrete rules and steps of socially helpful behavior using ecologically valid skills. We demonstrate through role plays. So we model social behavior, both risky and helpful demonstrations. And we do a lot of perspective taking about those demonstrations to help them put themselves in the other person's shoes. We have them practice every week. So it's sort of a behavioral rehearsal, and they get feedback from our team on their practice. They also get homework assignments to practice in the real world, right? That helps them generalize the skills. And that's how we individualize things. We review the homework each week and we troubleshoot any issues that came up. It also allows for some repetition of instruction. And also, we teach their parents how to help them practice these skills, right? Their parents, or for adults, it can be other social coaches. Sometimes it can be siblings or peer mentors, life coaches, and their coaches can help expand social opportunities. They often are really helpful with finding sources of friends to and supporting teens and young adults and organizing get-togethers with these friends outside of their social activities. And of course, they provide continued support over time. So these are really the most essential ingredients for social skills training. This is the formula that you need for a program to be considered research-based. Okay, so I'm looking at the time here. I won't get into all of our the research that I plan to. I just wanted to show you the amount of publications that we have both within the United States and also outside of the United States. Like I said before, this program has been heavily researched. There's a lot of publications demonstrating the effectiveness of the program around the world in helping to improve social skills, increase social engagement, decrease loneliness and social anxiety, um, and, um, and really just help our teens and young adults gain confidence in the social world. So if you're coming to the training seminar that I'm leading in the fall, I'll be talking in more detail about some of our research. But just for the purpose of this presentation, I'd like to get to an example of how we teach these skills. Okay. And just wanted to mention we have a lot of partners. These are some of our research partners all over the world who have done the Peers program and researched it and culturally adapted it. Many in Asia, all through Japan, China, Korea, many within the United States, and now actually we have partners in Turkey who are currently working on researching this program. Okay, so now I want to show you a brief example of how we teach some of these skills. So when thinking about how to enter a conversation, oftentimes people are given bad advice about what to do. So think about it. If you're at a party or a get together, what do you think most people are told to do to meet new people? Well, oftentimes we hear just go up and say hi or go up and introduce yourself. Okay, can you imagine what that would look like if there's a group of people talking and I just walk up in the middle of their conversation and say, hi, or hi, I'm Alina. That's actually kind of random. And I'm interrupting their conversation, right? And where do I go from there? So that's not really what people do in reality. And don't feel bad if you've given teens that advice. It's the advice that teens get all over the world. And it's again, it's because people don't often break down what they're doing in social situations. So we're going to start by watching a risky example. And in this example, I'm going to be trying to join a conversation and I'm going to be doing something that's not working. Okay, so pay attention to what I'm doing here that might be socially risky in joining this conversation.
Hey Jordan, you'll never guess. I saw Gabe at my favorite sushi restaurant this weekend.
No way, what restaurant was it?
Just the one right around the corner.
Oh, I've been meaning to try that place.
Yeah,
it's so close by. I felt bad that I'd never gone, but I went and it was so good.
Nice. What did you guys get?
I got the spicy tuna with crispy rice.
Yeah, it looked awesome.
Have you guys just been roller skating?
Sorry, I just got the regular salmon. There's this new skate park that just opened up. It's really fun.
What did you get?
Just the salmon roll. It was plain.
They have
so
a Thursday night student night?
A lot of people go to it.
I wanted to go there. I
Yeah.
wanted to try it out.
It's really fun. There's also this other place
What would you
by the
get if
beach
you went?
that I've been roller skating.
I'm sorry, what?
What would you get if you went?
It's really cool. It's like right by the water and lots of people go.
Okay. So hopefully you understood what was happening, but the group was having a conversation about sushi, and I just barged in and started talking about roller skating. So think about what was that like for them? Probably really awkward, annoying, maybe disruptive to their conversation. What do they think of me? Maybe kind of rude, socially awkward, right? Kind of weird. Will they want to talk to me again? Probably not, right? So let's think about what do people do to join a conversation? Well, there's actually many steps involved. First, people usually listen to that conversation and they watch from a distance to see what's going on. They're sort of reading the social cues, right? And you don't want to look like you're staring at the group, so you use a prop. What kind of prop do people use? Usually it's their phone, right? They're kind of on their phone and they're looking over, or maybe it's a laptop or a book, but you don't want to look like you're staring. And at the same time, you're kind of eavesdropping. You're trying to pay attention to what are they talking about? Do I know anything about this topic? Do I have a common interest with the group? Let's say they're talking about hiking. Oh, I like to go hiking. Maybe I can add something to this conversation. Once you find that common interest, you move a little closer, about an arm's length away, and you wait for a little pause. You try not to interrupt too much, and then you mention the topic. And there's 3 ways to do that. You can make a comment, you can ask a question, or you can give a compliment on topic. And then you have to pay attention to their interest. Are they looking at you? Are they facing you with their body? Are they actually talking to you? And did they open the circle for you? In groups, people tend to stand in a circle. So if they want to talk to you, they'll let you into that circle. And if it's going well, then you introduce yourself. And how do you do that when you've already been talking? Oh, by the way, I'm Alina, right? It's a lot smoother that way than just walking up and introducing yourself. So now we're going to watch a more helpful role play. So pay attention to what I'm doing this time that is socially helpful.
Victoria, you'll never guess. I saw Gabe at my favorite sushi restaurant this weekend.
Nice. What restaurant was it?
Just the one right around the corner.
Oh, I've been meaning to check that place out.
Yeah, it's so close by and I'd never gone, but I went. It was really good.
Cool. What did you guys get?
I got a spicy tuna roll and I loved it.
You got the spicy tuna roll? That's what I always get.
Yeah, how good is it?
It's so good there. Have you guys tried the rainbow roll there? I haven't. No, I actually got the salmon roll. Oh, okay. That's good too. But the rainbow rolls are their specialty.
I'll try it. If you were gonna go, what'd you get?
I love the California roll. It's my favorite. I tried that one there actually. It's really good. Nice.
Okay, so then I would ask the group, what did I do this time that was socially helpful? And that's when we can repeat instruction and walk through all the steps. Did I listen to that conversation and watch? Did I use a prop, right? My phone? Did I identify the topic and find a common interest? Yes, it was sushi, right? I moved closer. I waited for a pause. I mentioned the topic. Did it seem like they were interested? How could you tell? Right? They were looking at me, they were facing me, they were actually talking to me. They opened the circle, and I could have introduced myself if I wanted to, right? So, what was that like for the group that time? Probably nice, pleasant, right? Enjoyable. What did they think of me? Friendly, cool. Would they want to talk to me again? Probably. Okay. Then they're going to practice, of course. Every time after we show these role play demonstrations, this is followed by them actually practicing the skill because we don't expect them to get it right away. It takes practice, and they're going to get feedback from our team when they practice this. And these are just kind of simplified steps that our young adults, our teens and young adults will look at when they're practicing, right? It's really just 5 key steps. Watch and listen, move closer, wait for that pause, mention the topic, and introduce yourself. Okay, so now I just want to leave you with some of our clinical and research offerings at the clinic. So we currently run about 12 groups per week in our clinic. We have Peers for Adolescents. That's the program that I just talked about. This program is 16 weeks with 90-minute sessions each week. So about 4 months, once a week, hour and a half. And we do both in-person and telehealth groups. And there's always parents involved. So teens in one group, parents in a different group. We also run young adult groups. These are for people ages 18 to 35, even older sometimes. Same thing, 16 weeks, 90-minute weekly sessions with either parents or other social coaches. Anyone who can help the young adult practice these skills outside of the group can be a social coach in the program. We also have educational classes. These are very similar, but they're run outside of the health system. So they're for self-pay clients, and anyone anywhere in the world can join these groups. So oftentimes we have people zooming in from different countries and all over the United States. And we have our Peers for Preschoolers program. Many of you might have been trained on this when I did a training in Turkey a month ago or so. And this is for kids ages 4 to 6. And it's also 16 weeks, 90-minute sessions, and the lessons are taught through puppet shows. Okay. Lastly, I'd like to share some of our research, our offerings. We're currently researching a program called Peers for Careers, and this is basically the social skills for succeeding in finding and maintaining employment. So it's for young adults who are either in college or have graduated from college, and we teach them skills like how to interview successfully and how to network and how to create a resume, right? How to navigate the workplace environment and culture, how to handle conflict in the workplace, things like that. So this is still being researched. And our Peers for Dating program, a 20-week social skills program just focused on the skills for finding and maintaining healthy romantic relationships. So all the dating skills that I talked about before and a lot more than that. We also teach them about online dating, and we help them with their online dating profiles. So we're still currently researching this program as well. Okay, and then some of our resources. We have training seminars, as I mentioned, for mental health professionals. So we really value dissemination and making this program as accessible to as many people as possible. So we do training seminars at UCLA virtually. They're all online. about 7 times per year on all of our different programs, young adult, teen, school-based, and preschool. And I will be conducting a training soon in Turkey on the adolescent program. I believe that's happening in October or November. And then, and did you want to say something, Helene? Hi, Helene. Good to see you.
Hi, I was listening to you, but I didn't want to interrupt. Yes, that's right. It's on October. That's right.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. I wasn't sure the exact dates.
Yeah.
Great. And we also have a virtual boot camp. So this is something that you can purchase, and it's a YouTube channel with 35 episodes of all the different skills taught in peers. And it's helpful for both professionals and for families. It's sort of a go at your own pace course, and it's led by Dr. Lageson, who's the developer of the program. We have free role play videos available on our website. So those role plays that I showed you today, those and maybe over 100 more are available for free on our website. And so you're welcome to access that. It can be a great tool when either doing groups or even individual social coaching. We also have a free app. It has a lot of the role plays embedded in the app, and it has a lot of information that's taught in our program. This is helpful for teens and young adults to use on their own devices. And we have a book called The Science of Making Friends that can be helpful for parents and family members in helping coach their teens or young adults. And we also have treatment manuals, and these are available on Amazon for anyone to purchase if they're interested in learning how to provide social coaching. And also, if you're interested, the show Love on the Spectrum on Netflix actually features an episode where Dr. Lageson, the developer of Peers, she does a dating boot camp for the young adults on the show. It's the first season in Australia, and I think it's episode 3 or 4. So if you're interested to see how do we teach dating skills, you can watch that show. And that's it. Thank you all so much for listening, and this is our contact information. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions, and I hope to see many of you at the training in October.
Elena, thank you very much. It was really good to see you again.
You too.
I'm so happy to see you. And may I ask a question? Regarding just this 1 hour, can we just show this record to the people that really wants to know about the peers program? Because lots of people still don't know about the peers, and when we just try to make them understand, it can be harder. But if you let us, we can show this 1 hour record, and it will be easier for them to just get it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Thank you very much.
Great. Do we have any time for questions?
Yes, I think so. If our participants has any questions, I can also help them, but they say thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Until now, we don't have any questions, but it's really good to have this all information again. And may I have a question, Elena?
Sure.
In the peers program, there is no room for, or it's not the aim, but we don't focus on the emotion regulation skills. But lots of the kids but have problems about it, and it can be sometimes easier for them to use these skills because of the problems in the emotion regulation. How do you proceed when a kid has a problem about regulating their emotions? Not just the one with the aggression, but still, when they have lots of shyness or other things.
Yeah. I mean, so first of all, peers is not going to be appropriate for everyone. And there are many people who would benefit first from seeing a therapist and working on, social anxiety or coping skills. And they may not be ready for peers if their difficulties with emotion regulation are too severe. So, really, one of the things that we are assessing for is to make sure that social skills are at the forefront of their treatment priorities. So, that's not to say that we don't have people with anxiety or depression in our program. Of course, we do. But oftentimes, they're at a place where they're able to really benefit from this program, and they might be seeing a therapist at the same time, right? Peers is not a replacement for therapy. And if someone is coming in and they're depressed or anxious, I would highly suggest that they continue to see their therapist while they're in the peers program. Because as you can imagine, when you are learning these kinds of skills and putting yourself in new social environments and situations, that can be anxiety provoking. And we don't really process all of those emotions in the program.
Yeah.
So we would love for those people to continue to have a space where they can process and go through that,
I got it.
understand their feelings around, doing these things. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. There's a question. This is out of curiosity, but does it ever happen that people in the dating program date each other? How the coach
We don't
maintain this
allow
balance?
it. Yeah, no. I mean, they've expressed interest. I won't say there haven't been times where they've expressed interest in dating each other or the coaches, but we have very strict boundaries around that. So it's not we tell them from the beginning, this is not a dating matching group. This is a group where you learn skills to use in the real world. By the way, same thing with our friendship programs. It's not about becoming friends with each other. It's about learning the skills to make friends in the real world. So no, we have very strict boundaries about that because we want to protect everyone in the group and make sure that they feel safe. After the program's over, they're allowed to exchange contact info. We don't keep in touch with them to see, if they start dating each other, but during the group, they're not allowed to.
Thank you.
Yes. All right,
Okay.
great.
Thank you very much, Elena, for
Thank
being with
you.
us. It's good to see you, and I hope all the our participants can think about joining the Peers for Adolescents in the October.
That would be amazing. You're more than welcome to join us, and looking forward to seeing you again then.
See you. Bye bye.
Bye.